Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honors, and glories unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, HASHAM, Kodash. Double honors to my elders and my apostles of Great Milestone, that doing the well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the members of the elect, the oath elected, the 1/3. Shalom. This is Brother Dawadah from the GMS Detroit camp, coming at you with another video through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, HASHAM, Kodash. And today I want to do a video entitled, There are guidelines or instructions even when it comes to rebuking. Alright, we're going to get into this topic and not on RAWCHAA, which means Lord's will. This video will be edifying to the Lord's elect. Alright, so there are guidelines to rebuking. Alright, now you got individuals that hear a few scriptures and they just, I know the Bible now. And then when a situation arises, they get to rebuking, alright, or trying to correct somebody. But meanwhile, they don't know the guidelines of how and when to do so. Okay? So let's get straight into it. So this is Leviticus 19 and verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Okay, so you're supposed to rebuke, right, thy neighbor, your fellow Israelite. Okay? And not suffer sin upon him. Okay? So now let's go from there. Now you may say, okay, so I'm supposed to rebuke my fellow Israelites, but the question is, okay, well, how do you rebuke? When do you do it? Okay? Now, pursuant to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, and verse 1, it tells you that there's a time for everything. So you get the saying there's a time for everything. You get it from the scripture here. Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Slakia. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Okay? So, in the nutshell, what is it saying? There's a time for everything. Okay? There is a time for everything. Okay, the first verse sums it up. There's a time for everything, even when it comes to rebuke. All right, you may be trying to correct somebody, and you can apply this to anything that you can think of. You can apply it to rebuking your, whether it's your woman, whether it's your children, whether it's someone at work, so on and so forth. There's always a time for everything. The scriptures say, examine first. Let's say a situation arises and you're like, okay, I gotta, let me correct them. But the scriptures say, let me see. Ecclesiastes 11 and 7. Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Yeah, so, and that's what a proper judge does. A proper judge is impartial. He's not swayed to the right hand or to the left, in other words. To put it in layman's terms or in another way, a proper judge, all right, when someone is presented before him with the case, the judge has a neutral mind. He's not going to automatically assume, okay, this person, he got to be guilty. Okay? So you're supposed to what? Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Okay? So you got to question them first before you rebuke. Understand first and then rebuke. Right. So you got to understand the situation first. Understand the particulars first. Then you rebuke. Then you correct. All right. Let's see. Answer not before thou hast heard the cause. Neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. That's important too. Okay. So blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first and then rebuke. Because there's a time and a place for everything. Alright? You don't want to be caught in a situation where you're trying to correct somebody, even when it comes to the scriptures. Alright? Even when it comes to the scriptures. Okay? When these different groups go off in the scriptures, brothers do what? They examine what the man said first, and then they do the rebuking, which is the correction. You see? So let's go from there. So examine first, or rather understand first, and then rebuke. Let's go from there. You got individuals that have a problem with that. Oh, they don't like when brothers rebuke, all right, camps that go off. But there's a time and place for everything, right? And when an individual goes off, all right, that's the place and the time wherein they should be rebuked, wherein they should be corrected. 2 Timothy 4:1. I charge thee therefore before the Most High, the Lord, Yahawashi Mashiach, who shall judge the quick, all right? The quick is those that have the truth, and the dead, those that don't have this truth, all right? He that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. At his appearing in his kingdom, preach the word. Be instant, in season, out of season. So if someone is not out there teaching when it's out of season, the example of that would be the wintertime, all right? Then what are we supposed to do? Reprove. So we're supposed to correct. Tell them, hey, you're going off. Rebuke. We're supposed to tell them off. Exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. You see? So it's supposed to reprove and to rebuke. All right? Remember the law. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. See? So we're supposed to rebuke our fellow Israelites. We're supposed to correct them. All right? Examine first and then rebuke. Okay? Now, there's another scripture. Wow. Proverbs 9:8. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Right. So if the individual that's getting corrected, if he was truly wise, then what? He will love that the brother is correcting. He will love that brother. Why? Because that brother is watching for his soul. That brother is trying to protect him from being destroyed, from catching judgment, all right, for going off in the scriptures. All right? You got groups that are saying, oh, you can't bang it. You can't bang it. Meanwhile, what are we doing? All we're doing is teaching the scriptures. We see that they went off, and we do the correction video. We've examined first, and then we rebuke. Okay? But what do? They get mad at that. Oh, you hate your brother. Oh, you hate your brother. No, we're correcting you. Rebuke a wise man. If you claim to have the truth, right? You claim to be wise, right? So if you get corrected, then you're supposed to love that brother that's correcting you. Why? Because he's looking out for you. All right? Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. That's true. That's true. All right? So let's go from there. And let's read verse 10. The fear of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Okay, so the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All right, and it says that in different places throughout the scriptures. If they truly fear Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, then they would be focused on rightly dividing the word of truth. They won't be saying that the mark of the beast is sleeping with white women. The mark of the beast is Christianity. It's an embargo. It doesn't even, when you really scrutinize or dissect or pick apart their doctrine that they teach, all right, of certain of these groups, especially when particularly the points where they go off in, especially the mark of the beast, all right. When you actually hear what they say, it doesn't even make sense. The mark of the beast is sleeping with white women. What? So if that were the case, that means Solomon would have had the mark of the beast. Now wait a minute. How could Solomon have the mark of the beast if the beast wasn't even around during the days of Solomon? See how wacky these guys are? You know, or rather how wacky their doctrine are? So it says the spiritual man is mad. All right? They're all types of bugged out. They claim to be spiritual. All right? Yet by the things in which they teach, you can tell that they're bugged out. The mark of the beast is sleeping with white woman. What was it, General Yohana that said John the Baptist, whatever he say he is, he's a red-tailed squirrel. If he says that John the Baptist is what do he say, is some type of fish, then pass me the hot sauce. That guy is he's bugged out. The spiritual man is mad. See, that's why it's so important to do these videos of correction of their doctrine. Not just so that, especially for the brothers that listen and a few sisters, so they can steer clear away from those guys that teach off doctrine, but it's also so those guys can hear and understand that they're messing up and correct themselves. All right? That way they won't be judged. All right? They won't catch the judgment for not rightly dividing the word of truth. All right? So let's go from there. Let's read 2 Timothy 4:2 again. Preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. There's a time to rebuke and there's a time not to. All right? And before you rebuke, examine first and then rebuke. Okay? And then you got individuals that get rebuked. If you get rebuked, which we all, do and have, all right, we all get corrected here and there, all right. What do you have to do? You're supposed to accept it. That's why King David said, "Let the righteous smite me." Psalm 145, Psalm 141, and verse 5. Let the righteous smite me, meaning correct me. All right, the word smite means to hit. All right, and that's how it feels. When you get it corrected, it hurt. It's like it's as if someone's hitting you. So it's say, hey man, you going off. You feel bad. They call it hurting. Oh, I'm hurting, man. Dang, you hurt my feelings. Now, is it possible for you to physically hurt somebody's feelings? No. How did you hurt their feelings? Through the words of your mouth. You see? So when it says, let the righteous smite me, meaning let the righteous correct me, let the righteous rebuke me, it shall be a kindness. Why? Because he understands that it's not for his destruction, but for his benefit. And let him reprove me, let him correct me, and it shall be an excellent oil, which shall not break my head. For yet my prayer also shall be in their calamities. Okay? So let the righteous smite me, let the righteous correct me, and let him reprove me. You should, when we mess up and slip up, all right, which we all do, all right, it is good for a brother to correct us. Why? Because that keeps us in the right path. Okay? So with that, I'm going to leave it there. All praises, honors, and glories be unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, Bahashim Qudash. Double honors to my elders and my apostles of Great Milestone that do indeed well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the members of the elect. Your elected 1/3. With that being said, Shalom. RAWCHAA, Akim, and the few sisters that listen. Shalom.